This is Stonewall State Penitentiary, California, 2024, one of the most violent yards in the system. And in that yard there was a man nobody knew anything about. 5'7", 135 pounds soaking wet. Orange jumpsuit hanging off him like it was 2 sizes too big. No tattoos, no gang, no friends. He never spoke, never looked for trouble. He just existed. His name was Leeway. And because he was quiet, because he never pushed back, the predators smelled blood. Enter Marco, Big Marco Santini. 6'4", 280 pounds, neck tattoos, arms like tree trunks. He ran the South Yard for the Aryan Circle. His favorite hobby? Breaking the new guys who looked weak. And Leeway looked like the weakest guy who ever walked through those gates. Day 1. Marco walks past Leeway's table, knocks his tray to the floor, laughs. Day 3, he pours a cup of water over his head in the chow line. Day 8, he slams him against the wall in the shower line, whispers, "You're gonna cry for me soon, little man." Every single time, Leeway just lowers his eyes, breathes slow, and walks away. The whole block is watching. Some are laughing. Some are waiting for the day Marco finally snaps him in half on camera. But here's what nobody in that prison knew. Back in Fujian Province, China, Leeway started training Wing Chun at age 6. Not the weekend class stuff you see on TikTok. Real lineage. Direct student of a direct student of Ip Man. He trained 6 hours a day, every day for 25 years. Wooden dummy until his knuckles bled. 1-inch punch until he could drive a grown man through a wall with a flick of the wrist. And then life went wrong. One bad night in Los Angeles, one friend who brought a gun to what was supposed to be a simple debt collection, one store owner who didn't make it, and Leeway took a plea deal to avoid life. 12 years for felony murder. He didn't pull the trigger, but he was there, and in California that's enough. Now he's doing time for a choice he made in 3 seconds on a different night, but prison didn't take away what was carved into his bones. 25 years of discipline doesn't disappear behind bars. It just waits. Weeks go by. The bullying gets worse. Marco starts bringing an audience. Phones come out. He's planning the big public humiliation. He keeps telling everyone, "This Saturday, I'm ending this guy in front of the whole yard. Gonna make him my girlfriend or put him in the infirmary. Either way, he's done." The rumors spread. Even the guards are whispering about it. Saturday comes. Morning chow. The cafeteria is packed. More inmates than usual. Everyone wants a front row seat to the execution. Marco walks up behind Leeway, grabs him by the shoulder, spins him around. "Time's up, fish." He shoves him so hard Leeway stumbles back 3 steps. Second shove, chest to chest. Marco's boys are hyping him up. "Do it, Marco, smoke this dude." Third shove and Leeway's tray hits the ground, food everywhere. Oatmeal splattered across the concrete, apple rolling under the table. The room goes dead silent. Phones up. Everyone waiting for the beatdown. Even the COs stop moving, hands near their radios, but not calling it in yet. They want to see this too. Marco pulls his fist back, that big haymaker he's knocked out 17 men with in the last 4 years, and Leeway finally moves. It's not even a fight, it's surgery. Right hand shoots out, traps Marco's wrist mid-swing, redirects the punch past his own head. Left palm explodes forward, straight into the hinge of Marco's jaw, right where the mandible connects to the skull. You hear the crack echo off the concrete walls. Marco's 280 pounds lift clean off the ground. He lands flat on his back, skull bouncing off the floor like a basketball on a gym court. Out cold, eyes rolled back, drooling. 3 seconds, start to finish. The entire cafeteria is frozen. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Then someone drops their tray and it clatters like a gunshot, and everyone starts screaming at once. Let's talk about what just happened, because this is important. That wasn't a lucky shot. That was precision. Wing Chun is built on economy of motion, no wasted energy, no telegraphing. Marco threw a punch that traveled maybe 2 feet. Leeway's counter traveled 4 inches. In martial arts, especially in real combat, the guy who moves less usually wins. Marco's punch had power, but it had wind-up. Leeway saw it coming from a mile away. The trap and redirect is classic Wing Chun. It's called Pak Sao, and it's designed specifically to deal with bigger, stronger opponents. You don't block the punch, you borrow its energy. Then the palm strike, that's called a phoenix eye fist in some systems, but in Wing Chun it's just a spear hand to the pressure point. The jaw hinge, the vagus nerve cluster, that's a knockout button built into the human body. You hit it right, doesn't matter how big you are, you're going to sleep. Brain says goodnight before the body even knows what happened. Marco never had a chance. The fight was over the second he decided to throw that punch. Marco woke up in the infirmary 4 hours later, with his jaw wired shut, 4 teeth gone, a concussion, and a fractured eye socket from hitting the floor. The doctors said if his head had hit at a slightly different angle, he might have had permanent brain damage. Within 48 hours, every ounce of respect he had evaporated. In prison, your reputation is your currency. You can't come back from getting knocked out cold in 3 seconds by a guy half your size in front of 100 witnesses. His own crew stopped answering his calls on the tablets. The Aryan Circle quietly told him he was no longer affiliated. 2 weeks later, he put in for protective custody, the ultimate humiliation in prison culture, and got shipped to Pelican Bay, a level 4 supermax, where he'd be locked down 23 hours a day. Some people said he asked for it because he knew what was coming. When you lose face like that in a place like Stonewall, people start testing you, and Marco couldn't afford to lose twice. Leeway got 30 days in the hole, standard for any fight regardless of who started it. Solitary confinement, 23 hours in a 6x9 cell, 1 hour in a cage for exercise. Most men come out of the hole broken, paranoid, talking to themselves. Leeway came out the same way he went in, calm, centered. When he walked back onto the yard, everything had changed. The same table that used to get his commissary stolen every week now had 3 full trays waiting for him, donated by guys who'd never said a word to him before. Nobody ever sat in his seat again. The shot caller for the Mexican mafia, a man named Flaco, who ran half the drug trade in the facility, nodded at him once in the corridor. That nod meant protection. It meant respect. Leeway never asked for it, never wanted it. But in prison, you don't get to choose your reputation, you just live with what you earn. He never had to lift a finger a second time. Word spread to the other blocks, then to other prisons through the inmate transfer network. The quiet Asian guy in Stonewall who knocked out Big Marco in 3 seconds. The legend grew. Some versions said he was a kung fu master. Some said he was a Chinese mafia enforcer. Some said he killed 5 men in one night in Hong Kong. None of it was true, but Leeway never corrected anyone. He just went back to being quiet. 6 months later, spring of 2025, a 19-year-old kid named Danny, doing life without parole for a murder he committed at 16, walked up to Leeway in the yard during rec time. The kid was skinny, terrified, getting pressured by the gangs to choose a side. He'd watched Leeway for weeks, saw how he carried himself, how nobody bothered him anymore, and finally worked up the courage to ask the question everyone wanted to know. Why did you let him do that to you for so long? You could have stopped it on day 1. Why'd you wait? Leeway was doing pull-ups on the bar, slow and controlled. He finished his set, dropped down, looked at the kid for a long time. Then he spoke, and these were the only words anyone ever heard him say inside those walls in 2 years. I didn't let him do it to me. I gave him every chance to stop. When he didn't, I chose. When it ended, the kid just stared at him. Leeway started walking away, then stopped and added one more thing. Strength isn't about how much damage you can do. It's about how much you can endure before you have to. Then he walked back to his cell, and that was it. Danny told that story to his cellie. The cellie told someone else, and within a week, the whole prison knew. It changed how people saw Leeway. He wasn't just the guy who could fight. He was the guy who chose not to until he had no choice, and somehow that made him more dangerous, not less. So remember this, the quietest guy in the room is quiet for a reason. Sometimes he's scared, sometimes he's kind, sometimes he's broken, and sometimes he's just giving you every possible chance to walk away before he shows you what happens when patience runs out. Real strength doesn't need to announce itself, it doesn't flex in the mirror or talk about what it can do. It just waits. And when it moves, when it finally has no choice but to act, the whole room learns something they'll never forget. Not because of what it did, but because of how long it waited before doing it. That's the difference between a fighter and a warrior. A fighter looks for the fight. A warrior avoids it until avoidance is no longer possible. And when that moment comes, it's already over before it starts. If this story hit you, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment. Tell me, quiet strength or loud strength, which one are you? And be honest, because the answer matters more than you think. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the stories we tell here aren't just entertainment. They're lessons wrapped in narrative, and next week we're dropping one that'll make this look like a warm-up. Stay dangerous, stay humble, stay ready, And never ever mistake someone's patience for weakness. Real power whispers. And when it stops whispering, you're already done. Peace.